guys, we're going to continue our read of My Teacher is an Alien with chapters 18 and 19 in this video. Of course, at the end of the last video, Broxholm let Susan know that he knew that she had been sneaking into his house. So now we're going to see what happens. Chapter 18, Concert Concerns. It took me almost 20 minutes to get home. I cycled along the sideway slowly, watching every corner. I kept expecting aliens to leap out of the bushes and grab me. When something did jump out of the bushes, I screamed so high and loud, I was surprised that I didn't break the glass in the street lamp overhead. But it was only Peter. "Are you trying to give me a heart attack?" I asked him, straddling my bike and glaring at him. "It would serve you right for bringing Duncan along today," he said. I wasn't up for a fight, and I said so. Peter was mad enough that he might have kept it going anyway, but when I started to tell him what had happened after school, he got so interested he forgot about being angry. He insisted that I try to remember every word Broxholm had said. "Where's Duncan?" I asked when I finished my story. "Hiding in my closet," said Peter with a wicked grin. "We called his folks, and he's going to spend the next couple days at my house." "Didn't they ask any questions?" Peter laughed. "If you were Duncan's mother, wouldn't you be glad to have him out of your house for a while?" I didn't think that was very nice, but I let it pass. "Will you be able to stand him till this is over?" I asked. "My problem is trying not to take advantage of him," said Peter sadly. "It's not easy. I'd really love to get back at him for some of the things he's done to me, but he's so terrified I don't dare have any fun with him. I really think if I popped a bag near him, he would have a heart attack and die." I laughed in spite of myself. "What about your father?" I asked. Peter grimaced. "He won't even notice Duncan is there," he said. "By the way, I took the pictures to the drugstore. We can pick them up after school tomorrow." "If we live that long," I said. "Relax," said Peter. "Broxholm and his friends are here to collect people. I'd really be surprised if they could actually kill anyone." That made me feel a little better, but it was only the thought that this whole mess might be over when we got the pictures that kept me from losing my mind that night. Even so, I was so frazzled I couldn't think about anything else. By morning, I was such a wreck that my special session with Mr. Banwick was a total disaster. "No, no, no," he kept yelling. "It's B flat, Susan, B flat." "Well, I can't get it right if you keep screaming at me," I said, trying not to cry. I couldn't blame poor Mr. Banwick. The concert was only a day away, and I was getting worse by the minute. But I just couldn't concentrate on the music. How could I, when I knew what else was supposed to happen? Who could play the piccolo if they knew that their friends, or even themselves, were going to be kidnapped by aliens? "Aren't you worried?" I asked Peter after the afternoon on the playground. "Not really," he said. His pale face split into a wide grin. "I told you, I've got an alternate plan." "Listen, Peter," I said, taking his arm. "This isn't one of your science fiction books, and you're not Buck Rogers. Don't get carried away." He shook my hand away angrily. "This is the greatest thing that's ever happened in this town," he said, "and don't you forget it, Susan." At that point, Stacy and Mike went running by, yelling bad words at each other. We started to laugh. "I heard Stacy say that her mother is going nuts," said Peter. "I bet Mike's mother is too." I nodded. I almost felt sorry for them. It can't be easy to have a kid who hasn't been in trouble since kindergarten suddenly turn into a maniac. "Of course, Stacy and Mike don't have much choice," I said. "Sure they do," said Peter. "What do you mean by that?" I asked. But he wouldn't answer me. "Just watch," he said. "You'll figure it out soon enough." Chapter 19. Peter's Choice. That afternoon, I finally began to understand Peter's alternate plan. Actually, it took me a while to figure it out. I knew there was something strange going on when Peter, the kid who always knew the answer but never bothered to give it, started raising his hand for every question that came along. And suddenly it all became clear. Peter wanted to be picked by Broxholm. He decided that this was his big chance to live the kind of science fiction adventure he had been dreaming about. He figured if he really tried, he might just be able to make it from bright but unmotivated to being without question the best student in the class. You could almost see the gleam in Broxholm's alien eyes when Peter unleashed his mighty brain. We were having a history lesson at the time, and Peter started to answer every question perfectly. Broxholm started asking harder questions, but Peter never even blinked. He just kept reeling off the answers. Even I had no idea how smart this kid was. And as for Broxholm, I swear that alien must have memorized an encyclopedia, or maybe he had one transplanted into his head. Who knows what those people can do? When school was over, I dragged Peter off to the side of the playground. "Are you crazy?" I hissed. "What are you doing?" "Plan B," Peter said. "If we can't unmask Broxholm, I want to be one of the ones to go on the ship." "Forget Plan B," I yelled. "You don't know what they're going to do to you up there. They're bad." You don't know that, said Peter. They kidnapped Miss Schwartz. He shrugged. That still doesn't mean they're bad. They may be so far above us that they think that we are like ants or something. I didn't say a word, but he could tell by my expression that I thought that was stupid. Maybe they're scared of us, he continued. That made me laugh. I'm serious, said Peter. Think of the conversation you had with him yesterday. I can't, I said. It still scares me. No, think about it, said Peter again. Maybe these people are really peaceful. Maybe they've seen how much we fight, and they're afraid that if we get much farther into space, we'll cause some huge war. You don't know that, I said stubbornly. Anyway, maybe we won't have to worry about it. Let's go to the drugstore to get our pictures. It took all of our money for the pictures. I thought about explaining to the girl behind the counter that we were just trying to stop an alien invasion, but I figured she probably wouldn't buy it. We forced ourselves to not open the envelope until we were in the park. You open it, I said, handing him the envelope. He hesitated for a moment, then tore the envelope open. When he pulled out the pictures, his face fell. What is it? Without saying a word, he handed me the photos. My heart sank as I flipped through them. Peter had done a good job. The beams and timbers of the attic showed up perfectly. The focus and exposure was fine, but the force field with Miss Schwartz in it had come out as just a blue streak. That was all. Just a blue streak down the middle of each picture. It looked like a flaw in the film, or maybe some trick of the light. You couldn't see Miss Schwartz at all. These aren't going to do us any good, I moaned. Peter nodded. I'm sorry, he said. It's not your fault, I replied, but I knew he didn't believe me. By Thursday, the whole school seemed to be on the brink of nervous breakdowns. Stacy got caught drawing dirty pictures on the blackboard. Mike tried out a new word that he had learned from his uncle, who was a sailor, and Peter waved his hands like crazy every time Broxholm Smith asked a question. The ones who were really having a hard time were the kids in the middle. See, by this time, everyone was starting to believe the rumor about our teacher being an alien. I think the fact that Peter and I knew it was true, combined with the fact that we weren't trying to convince them that it was what really did convince them. They figured if it was a joke, we'd be trying to fool them. Since we weren't, it had to be for real, or something like that. Anyway, the kids in the middle were going nuts because they knew Broxholm wanted the 3 most average kids in class. But what was an average kid? No one knew. So none of them knew how to behave to keep from being kidnapped. Most of them just acted the same as usual, except they were really nervous. Every time one of them answered a question, you had the feeling that they were trying to decide whether they should answer it right or wrong. It was like they were asking themselves, will the right answer get me a one-way trip into an alien spaceship? I'll be glad when this is all over, I said to Peter that afternoon during recess. Me too, he said, but I didn't like the kind of dreamy way he said it. Aren't you scared? I demanded. I'm terrified, he said, but that doesn't change my mind. School just got wackier as the day went on. By the time the last bell rang, I got the feeling that every kid had heard there was supposed to be an alien invasion at the concert that night. If I wasn't so worried, it would have been funny. Did you hear about the invasion? Kids would say. Did you know the aliens are coming tonight? I wanted to say, no, the aliens aren't invading. They're just coming to kidnap some of us. Although, for all I knew, the reason they wanted to study us was so that they could invade in the future. I felt sorriest for Mr. Bamwick. He had hoped to have the best spring concert ever, but now it was beginning to look as if it would be the biggest disaster of his career. I'm cutting the Stars and Stripes from the program, he told me that afternoon. He was trying to be nice about it, but I could tell that he was really disappointed. I'm sorry, I said. I just couldn't get that trill. No, it's not you, said Mr. Bamwick sadly. The whole band has fallen apart. I don't know what I've done wrong. How could I tell him that he hadn't done anything wrong, that his concert was just another casualty of the alien invasion? All right, guys, we're going to stop there. We'll finish the book in the next video. See you later.